If I asked you who the go-to guy for Arma 2 DayZ mod content was when it was all in its glorious heyday, whose name would first pop into your head? If I asked you the name of the person who, among Jackfrags, Levelcap and Matimio, was one of the most watched Battlefield 3 YouTubers when that game was at its pinnacle, whose name would you remember? This isn't to say that every YouTube viewer from 2012 onwards knows who this particular person is, but it is without a shadow of a doubt that the vast majority of gamers would say that one single word: Frankie. Like him or loathe him as you would with Marmite, he has created something that many YouTube content creators fail to do, which is leaving behind a legacy. A legacy that staves off the collection of any digital dust until it's forgotten forever and lost in the system. The internet, while awesome, is constantly being updated. Algorithms push the latest content to the top, and people want to be kept in the loop of their ever-changing world. Yet despite this, a rare few will remain at the top of those search results no matter what. Frankie is one of those rarities. Let's start from the top by scrutinising what exactly it takes to be a YouTube gaming kingpin with a legacy to show for it.
Sometimes when you win, you lose.
Frankie's YouTubing beginnings emerged as early as 2008 with his first channel, where he primarily focused on COD commentaries and the odd tutorial here and there. But in January 2011, he made a new online alias, and FRANKIEonPC in 1080p was born. At the time, Machinima Respawn was the 20th most subscribed channel on the platform, making a partnership with the network very lucrative. Additionally, YouTube was an entirely different climate back then. Doing a voiceover commentary with gaming footage in the background was something that the internet hadn't really seen lots of before, whereas now it's a standard practice and the market is saturated with it. In retrospect, we can observe lots of other big YouTubers and content creators today that did this to kickstart their YouTube careers. But what exactly separated Frankie out from the rest of the herd jumping on this bandwagon? I boil the sheer expanse of Frankie's audience down to three main factors: personality, an eye for detail, and an ability to connect with people from all walks of life. Hutch, a popular content creator and Machinima spokesman, was one of the guys to suggest Frankie's partnership with the network. He says in his own words about why he caught his attention, simply stating,
"So what made him stand out was a pure chance that you came across his channel. I just liked his personality. I thought he had a really good personality for YouTubing."
Personality is quite a hard thing to define, as it's not fully tangible. It's what makes a person who they are. All of their individual ways of talking, even on a gaming commentary, reflects their personality in some small way. I think a large trait of Frankie's personality though is his ability to talk to the mic as if he were having a conversation with a good friend. This is something I strive to improve on, but a big enjoyment factor for people watching live streams on Twitch or commentaries on YouTube is they feel they are experiencing something with the creator as if they are in the same room with them. It's this intimate connection to the viewer that really connects people with the content at hand. As a case study for this analysis, we're going to start by focusing on a video from his Battlefield 3 days called Super Bambi. By the way, if you want to find any of these unlisted videos, there's a handy website where they've all been mirrored, which is linked down below. If we look at a transcript of the commentary for this video, all the areas where he raises his voice with a changed pitch or volume is highlighted like so. This might sound obvious, but not sounding monotone is really important for maintaining that entertainment factor. Talking of entertainment factor, he uses a lot of jokey, light-hearted language throughout his commentary, also reflecting his ability to sit down and just hit record without a need for an in-depth script or anything full on. Later on, he says this about the Medal of Honor Warfighter devs.
One of the Warfighter devs said they're spending, and I quote, a lot of time on console to improve the game. How drunk do you have to be to say something like that? I'm figuring probably more wasted than my dog was last night.
The comical interlude with his dog creates a further connection with the viewer watching, because now we're being introduced to an intimate and personal part of his life, such as his pets, through a funny sketch. He's ticking all of the boxes while delivering information about the gaming world, as any excellent journalist would strive to do for a report they're writing. Now listen to this bit.
Oh boy, I should not have left that whiskey bottle out. Don't worry though, my dog is fine. She only wobbled a little bit and may have tried walking on 2 legs, like a human. Didn't work out for her. Much like Warfighter won't work out for EA unless Danger Close focuses on equal quality for all the platforms.
So you see how he connects 2 parts together here. His dog walking on its hind legs, with EA trying to cater more to a console audience. It's really subtle, and that's one trait I want you to pick up on with Frankie's work. It's so blisteringly smooth that it seems unobvious what exactly he did to pull something like that off, unless you look at it in close detail like I am now. Here's another example of injecting random comedy and then returning back to the topic.
We will see how delicious that pudding exactly is. And I'm hoping for cherry pie levels of deliciousness. That's some grade A sass for you right there. But back to the gameplay at hand here, using the...
Additionally is his sheer honesty and unnerving nature of not being afraid to put up his opinion. I feel today people are so worried of overstepping the mark. There's always someone to upset in this overly politically correct world. But you get these odd glimmers of hope in people who genuinely don't give a fuck. Obviously there's a fine line there, but what I'm talking about is feeling free to speak your mind and not being limited by a corporate sponsorship who control what you tell your viewers.
And what I can tell you, Danger Close, is that people certainly don't like getting shot behind fucking rocks. So if that is part of the Frostbite 2 engine you've inherited, you gotta fix it.
Throughout the video, we also have comical interludes to the famous Bambi voice his channel is famous for. If you didn't know, a Bambi is basically a Frankie coined term for a noob to a game who is completely oblivious and unaware, kind of like the Bambi on ice skidding around senselessly. Frankie adds in these funny high-pitched voices to the video to ensure the viewer is completely engaged with the content at hand. I'm sure you'll agree, in this technological day and age, we have damn short attention spans. We watch a video or stream and we often have it open on a second monitor or in another tab while we do something else. These comical voices, while simple on the surface, bring the viewer back to the video. You might be sifting through Twitter while watching when suddenly you hear that funny voice. You tab back in to check and suddenly you're re-involved and re-engaged with what he's saying.
As shown on the screen. Hang on a second. I can hear something.
Bambi to the rescue! This is my chance, my destiny to defend the...
I know it sounds crazy to look at Frankie's work in this kind of detail, but this is genuinely what ensures you have a strong influence and powerful impact on your viewers. Now, within this seemingly simple Battlefield 3 video is a ridiculous amount of videography going on. Remember, this is from 5 years ago. YouTubers today still fall flat on their face when trying to live up to this level of editing. So I think it's safe to say that Frankie not only set the bar for video production that much higher, but he was also way ahead of his time. Let's take the intro of Super Bambi for an example. This is pretty much a full-on music video with choreographed visuals that match the lyrics.
Write my name upon the sky, and when you call me, I'll be there, faster than a lightning flash.
as an editor myself, the amount of organisation, not only to get players in game to do this, but the visual effects would take hours and hours. Check out some of the pop-ups and transitions he uses for even the most simple camera cuts. As two more examples, here's one from his Battlefield 3 Premium Weapon Guide. I mean, just look at the 3D stuff going on here, all for a simple header for a video topic. Here's a final one I actually tried to replicate in the beginning of this very video, which is a jump cut to a different life in the same location, giving the illusion that the player never dies. Watch this from his commentary on the BF3 Armored Kill DLC.
Tip actually, as I'm playing infantry here, is to take flak. Flak is going to armor kill because you do require a lot of good players who are actually willing to work together.
Now watch again with slow motion and zoom effect on the ticket. How freaking subtle is that? I think I should let all of these examples speak for themselves, but it's genuinely breathtaking to see how much passion and love he puts into the editing room just to make the video that extra bit more polished. I can almost categorically say that no one back in 2012, or maybe even now, puts in this level of work for a simple gaming commentary on a DLC update. Frankie says this about his workload in his DayZ behind the scenes video.
Some of those sound effects are layered 10-12 deep, and it kind of becomes a sort of needle in a haystack kind of situation where the longer the video, exponentially longer it takes to actually edit it, because a 45-minute video is probably 4 times longer to edit than a 25-minute one, because you end up losing where clips and pieces are because the timeline's so long.
So as he says, the work versus quality exponentially increases for a lot of his creations because that extra bit of quality becomes harder to keep squeezing out after a certain point has passed. I've sometimes sat down and tried to edit something for a bit of fun in the style of a Frankie video, and I've ended up getting into weeks and weeks for just a 10-minute video after all the 3D work and footage capturing. But I think that very phrasing I just used speaks for itself. A Frankie video. It's a term of its own in a way. It's become a phrase for something that is so well polished and refined that it takes several watches to notice all those little details. Look at his project file for a DayZ video, for example. All those sounds and minor effects that you guzzle in without question when you're watching, that end up making the video that much more immersive to watch. Back in 2012, Frankie birthed a series that would eventually spiral into a rewatched, beloved, and inspiring piece of gaming that we'll perhaps never see again in our lifetimes. It had never been done before. Perhaps it will never be done again. And while I sound like the art professor from the Vincent van Gogh Doctor Who,
to use your passion and pain to portray the ecstasy and joy and magnificence of our world, no one had ever done it before. Perhaps no one ever will again.
I genuinely think this is something you just don't see on YouTube anymore. Frankie took advantage of two popular things, the Walking Dead series, the DayZ mod boom, and put the two together as a cocktail for amazing content. It was memorable, gripping, and emotive through the characters' stories of living in an apocalyptic wasteland. He made the character of being a friendly hero rather than the typical kill-on-sight bandit into something to aspire for in DayZ. The cinematics were painstakingly well produced. The episodes connected together like a TV series and produced a sort of sub-fantasy within the game. For example, Frankie often speaks about flying to the next island as if the game were this massive planetary world of countries to visit for the next zombie adventure. It inspired the imagination, transfixed millions, and reinvigorated the Let's Play genre into something part cinematic, part fiction, part realism. Like Rusky says in his tribute video to Frankie's work, if he were to quit YouTube today, his fans would always remember the epic DayZ legacy that he left behind. If you guys didn't know, Frankie has been posting on his YouTube about how he's taken a much needed break to focus on balancing work with play, as he does have a full-time job to attend to. Even with his absence though, I was amazed to hear the stories of other YouTubers who grew up listening to Frankie's voice like I did. Operator Drewski, a big army YouTuber, mentioned
kind of what was the inspiration for my channel, and that was when I was 14, 15, and I was watching YouTubers like Frankie and Level Cap on YouTube and really enjoying their content.
And of course, Rusky did an entire video on Frankie and his inspiring effect for quality and creativity, which was what motivated me to put up my own video too. When I say inspiring the next generation, I mean the generation of teenagers and young adults who find themselves on YouTube today. Out of the millions he captivated were a few people who took it upon themselves to kickstart their own YouTube channels and learn how to edit. Like I say in my Armour review, something like this ends up rolling a snowball of success once that ripple effect has started. With me, I've taken so many pieces of advice from Frankie, changing voice pitch to not sound monotone, buying a good microphone as he suggested in some of his vlogs, cinematic intros like I did for my Pawnee tutorial, comical interludes to silly things. The whole Bob thing, for example, was straight up inspiration from Frankie's Bambi voices. It goes on and on, as you can probably see. It's really crazy to see how much one person's uploads to YouTube could influence you so much. But it's also a testament to not being afraid to being inspired by someone else, as we all start from somewhere. I hope you guys liked this video. While it's not Armour, I actually thought this might be quite an interesting analysis to go through of someone that I've not only been watching for years, but frankly, pardon the pun, made this channel a reality in the first place. Cheers for watching, and take care everyone. Tommy out.